Welcome back to another episode of Seduce Me. I can't wait to find out what happens today. Come along and play with me. For a while, all I heard was the sound of raindrops on umbrellas. If it weren't raining, everything would probably be in a heavy silence. I looked beside me where my grandfather was standing and holding up a large black umbrella for our small family of 3. His face was emotionless, a strange sight next to my weeping mother. I wondered what was going through his head. After all, etched in the smooth gray tombstone before us was his father's name. My grandfather, the one who raised me like his own daughter, had passed away that day. The ceremony was small, only close family were allowed to come. Slowly, though, people began to leave, leaving my father, mother, and me beside the grave. A man dressed in a clean black suit under the uniform black umbrella of the funeral attendees walked towards us, introducing himself as grandfather's lawyer. He pulled out a few documents from his suitcase and began to read aloud its contents.
And now, I shall read Harold Anderson's last will and testament.
Only my parents and I were allowed to be present for my grandfather's will, and was under the strict request of his lawyer, and there was a reason why.
And to my dearest granddaughter, I give my estate. All the furniture and decor that resides within the house shall also be given to my granddaughter.
What? I couldn't believe my ears. I had earned the family estate? At age 18? That was impossible. Yet it was written in my own grandfather's hand.
He passed the family estate to her? Why am I not surprised?
I'm surprised.
Dear.
Well, did he say anything about what will become of the CEO and chairman position of the Anderson Toys Company?
No. It is presumed that the vice chairman will succeed the position.
Even to the bitter end, he wouldn't give in. What a stubborn old man.
That's your father you're talking about. Shaking my head, my father turned to face my mother with a serious expression on his face.
About the estate. Should we send her there to get used to the building? It'll be a good place for her to live after high school.
Okay.
Are you sure we should?
Why not? This would be a good experience for her.
My dad's a little rough around the edges, I think, personally.
Honey, what do you think?
I really wasn't sure what to say. What did my grandfather think I was appropriate heir of the mansion? Was I even ready to live on my own?
Well, that seems to be it. We'll be taking our leave now. I'm sure the little heiress needs some time to adjust.
Wow, Dad's a little bitter.
David!
Thanks, Mom. Even though she raised her voice, my dad wordlessly began walking back to the car, disinterested.
Don't mind him, honey. I think that your grandfather's passing really affected him. Why don't we get back home for now?
Thanks, Mom. You can go ahead to the car, Mom. I think I need some time alone with Grandpa.
Oh, of course. Take all the time you need.
She gave me a quick hug and hurried after my dad. I looked around the funeral grounds, which was completely empty, to save the sullen-looking grave that was laid in front of me. I'm sure if Grandpa was in charge of arranging all this, it would have been much, much different. It was blatantly obvious that my dad was in charge of the whole event. Who else would bury their own family the same day that they passed away? Everyone knew my grandfather's love for toys, and yet the grave was a mere stone slab on the ground, void of any toys. My dad didn't even bother putting down flowers. His disdain for my grandfather was almost pitiful. Sorry, Grandpa. I tried to force out some words, but the only thing that came out was a choked sob. You told me to stay strong, but right now, I'm the furthest from it. Like one time, a long time ago. Grandpa!
Oh, it's so good to see you again, sweetie.
I was swept into a giant bear hug, and we both laughed as he swung me around like an airplane. It's one of my favorite things upon seeing my grandfather, the way he greeted me. Unlike my father, my grandfather was loving and playful, even as I grew older. Sorry that Daddy couldn't be here today. He said he wasn't feeling too good again. It'd always been like that. Dad missed every visit to Grandpa's house. He cited that he was busy with work or wasn't feeling well.
Is that so? Well, that's okay. Daddy can come around next time. And you're here, right?
Yeah. So what are we going to do today, Grandpa? Mommy says that there's a new dessert cafe open in town. Maybe we can go?
Oh, I would love to. But I've been so busy with the company these days. We're actually working on a little something. Would you like to see?
Oh, yes. Is it a new toy?
It is. I was designing a new line of them. But I feel like something's missing. You don't think you could help me out, could you?
Of course I would love to help you, Grandpa. He placed the toy in my hand with a smile, and I inspected it carefully. It was beautifully crafted, and obviously a lot of work was put into it. There was one thing, though.
So, what do you think?
I think the heart on the chest should light up when you hug it. It'd be like it came alive, like it'd be a nightlight before you sleep. He stroked his chin, considering my input while nodding his head. After a few moments of silent deliberation, he turned to me with a chuckle.
That's a great idea. I'll get to changing it right away. You're always like my little lucky charm, dear. You always know what to add to make the perfect toy.
Well, I hope I can be like you one day, Grandpa.
You want to make toys as well?
Well, making people happy is the best feeling in the world. I don't know if I want to make toys when I grow up, though.
Don't worry too much about it. You have plenty of time to decide. Besides, you should do what makes you happy as well.
That does make sense. Daddy doesn't think of it in the same way, though.
Your father. I'm sure he just wants the best for you.
I'm not so sure about that.
Sweetie, look at me.
He bent down to look at me at eye level, with a serious look on his face.
As much as your father may say something that doesn't make sense now, you must remember that he is always thinking about you. He loves you. There's no doubt about that. And you need to love him just as equally.
I don't hate Daddy. I really do love him. I just don't know why he's like this, though.
Your father and I have had some difficulties with each other in the past. But it's nothing that you should be concerned about.
I've heard tidbits from my mother and various other people. The only people who stayed quiet were my father and grandfather. Both of them refrained from saying a word on the subject matter. But it was clear that whatever happened, they set up a wall between them. It's hard, though, trying to pretend that nothing was wrong.
However, no matter what, you have to stay strong. You're a big girl already, and, well, there'll come a day when it seems like it's you against the world. But always remember that your family and friends will be here with you. Daddy, Mommy, your friends at school, me. We'll stand together to get through it.
How can you be so sure of that, Grandpa?
Because we'll be right here and here.
He pointed to a finger to my head first, and then pointed to my chest.
So stay strong. Promise?
For a moment, he looked almost sad, pleading, but as quickly as the expression had come, it disappeared from his face, and he was all smiles once again. I promise. Upon hearing that, Grandpa let out a great burst of laughter and stood up.
All right then. Enough of that. How about I whip up some special homemade dessert? I know I can't accompany you at that new cafe, but we sure can talk and eat while I cook and do some paperwork.
Homemade dessert? I'll race you to the kitchen.
Hey, slow down there. I'm not what I used to be.
I like Grandfather. You wheeled me from the very home that I love to see you in. Why? Why would you think I'd be ready to take it? Especially after this. A surge of anger bubbled within me, and I quickly swallowed it. There was no use in getting mad, especially when the person in question was no longer there. I'm sorry. It's hard to stay calm when you've left me with so many questions, especially about what happened between you and Dad. What am I doing talking to a grave? My vision blurred, and I suddenly realized that I was crying. My face heated up as tears rolled down my cheeks. I'll bring you some flowers later. I miss you, Grandpa. I'll try my best to fulfill my promise I gave to you, even if the world might be turned against me. I left the grave, wiping my tears hastily so my parents would not see.
Well, it's time to head back home. I'll cook up your favorite lasagna when we get home, okay?
Thanks, Mom. However, my dad did not speak the entire drive home. I wanted to talk to him, but after his mom at the funeral... Oh, after his moment at the funeral, I wasn't too sure if that was a good idea.
It's about time we took off those dreary black clothes.
Gathering my courage, I decided that it was time to talk. Dad, can I ask you something?
Go ahead.
Why do you want me to move into the estate so soon?
I thought I made that rather clear. The college near your grandfather's house is well known for its business program. You are planning to major in business, yes? Right after you graduate from high school, you'll just live there and can easily commute to and from school. It's a perfect fit for you.
But it's so sudden. You decided so quickly right away after the funeral.
Don't be so sensitive. If you're like that in the real world, you'll be crushed.
I'm just saying maybe we can talk a bit more about my future? In reply, my father rubbed his temples and sighed quietly.
After you graduate from college, you'll work at Anderson Family Toys. I have connections since I am part of the board of directors, so you will be guaranteed a spot. That is what we talked about before, yes?
Right, but what if...
Stop mumbling!
What if I don't want to work there?
Don't be silly. It's the family company, our company. I'm not just going to hand it over to some incompetent vice chairman.
He came closer to me and his face softened.
Look, this is all for the best, okay? You may not know it right now, but you will appreciate it later.
For some reason, when I heard him say that, something snapped in me, and I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but it made me angry. Do you even care that grandfather passed away?
Of course I do.
Well, everything seemed fine and dandy to you. Things couldn't be better.
Excuse me? I don't like your tone, young lady.
It's not like nothing even happened at all. You just ignored the fact that he's no longer here.
Do not raise your voice at me.
What did he ever do to you to deserve this? My father, his face hardened, crossed his arms, and erupted in angry laughter.
Ha! You sure place him upon a pedestal, like he's some kind of venerated god or something. It makes me sick.
Is that it? Are you happy seeing grandfather dead while everyone else was grieving? You were holding yourself back from laughing in everyone's faces? Do you feel just a little bit happier seeing him lie there in the graveyard?
You don't know anything! Running your mouth like somehow you know everything that went on, when you're just a little girl that doesn't know how to keep her mouth shut! You did not know my father! You did not know what he was capable of!
Is everything all right? What happened?
Nothing. I'm not hungry. I think I'll just go upstairs.
Honey, wait!
Wow. Today's episode was crazy. Who would have thought that would have happened to us? Make sure you join us tomorrow. We have a lot more fun planned.